I fell over in the snow the other week as well, FYI.
You fell over?
Fell over, oh yeah. Oh, big time. Like
These
fell
things-
on my side and like sprawled paperwork everywhere.
You dropped paperwork.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was the worst.
This is why we need camera crews following us every day, all
It's the
day,
worst.
to catch things like that.
However, I will point out and shout out to the ladybug because I don't know who she is, but she did witness the fall, and afterwards she offered if I wanted to come in for fresh pasta shells, stuffed pasta shells that she had just made with her and her family. That's beautiful. That's so
You should
nice.
fake falls more often.
Yeah, so this week we are talking about, and we briefly actually mentioned this last week, but aptly titled First Time Home Buyers are Soon to Become No Time Home Buyers. You like what I did there with the title? Yeah?
I see what you did there.
Yeah, you
I don't
like
know if
it?
everyone's going to understand it, but
Well,
It's a little-
listen
a
on
little
and
left field.
listen on and you'll explain. I thought it was funny and that's all that matters.
of course you do.
But we spoke about it last week about how the market is now on the rise again.
Yes,
In
definitely.
terms of activity, and that's being reflected in prices by minimal margins each month. So
Yeah.
the last 3 months have been an average increase to the market of 0.7%.
But it's been increasing every month since what, August?
Since about September.
August was flat, and then September.
I think September. I have to double check that
Somewhere
one, but
back there.
definitely since October, November, December, January.
Yeah.
So a few months at least, minimal increases. So that's not putting off too many people. People are not starting to panic that things are on the rise, but it is really hitting home for the first-time home buyers, for the entry-level guys who probably have a budget of anywhere between 600, 650,000. Obviously, as a first-time home buyer, you're a little bit more cautious stepping into this because you haven't done it before, and so you take typically a lot more time when it comes to making your first purchase, and that's killing a lot of them right now.
Yeah, and that entry level of the market was kind of a ballpark reached in kind of closer to the peak. That hasn't drastically come down because you're sitting at basically 1,000 to 1,100 a foot in that range in stuff worth buying. So that is pretty much you can get in for cheaper than that and just sort of rant on this a little, but that's kind of the bulk of the starting point of the market, 2,000 built or younger, all rain screen, concrete towers and all this sort of stuff. Kind of buildings worth buying in. That's kind of that ballpark range, yes. And I think that's pretty similar. I don't think there's been a lot of adjustment in that since the market in general has moved either.
Yeah,
But,
so
sorry, continue.
But correct. You know, it's especially with these, and probably reiterate that, especially with these buildings which are quote unquote worth buying into. But there's a lot of first-time home buyers now who have been looking for a while, making sure that they find the right one. You know, playing with a $650,000 budget, and now they're finding that they're being priced out of the market. So
Yeah, those little increases, right?
it's those little increases make a huge difference. So it's a lot easier to comprehend on $1 million listing. But on a $600,000 listing, 625,000, 650,000, it makes a huge difference. So taking a $625,000 listing, if we say let's be kind and say the last 3 months only, the market has been increasing. So
Yep.
at an average of 0.7%, that's 2.1% over the last 3 months, right? So at a $625,000 home, that increases your price by about $13,000, which which means now that 625,000 before the increase started has now become closer to 640,000, 638,000. And then if you wait another few months and you don't execute today and you're kind of maybe thinking springtime is when you're going to make your move, that then increases to just over 650,000.
Assuming things continue on this trajectory, with which I think we both can safely say.
Yeah,
we
the
believe
market
it
doesn't
will.
show any signs of slowing down.
Yeah.
So it's going to keep on rising, and we're going to assume it's going to keep on rising in the same way that it has been, hence why we're looking at the average. But you have these guys who are pre-approved somewhere between that 600 and 650 mark, and all of a sudden their pre-approval doesn't work. And we're talking about actual market value, like sales prices here, not like asking prices. So these are what property is actually sold for, and we've got a couple of examples of the change, because what we're talking about right now is more of a market overall, looking at the figures. And when you actually look at some of the buildings in Vancouver, that's changed quite drastically.
Yeah, and just for some people's insight that are maybe starting to think of looking into the market now, there's a little bit more kind of lively out there. If you are a first-time buyer or want to be one and you're going through this process, you may or may not have gotten pre-approval yet. Keep in mind the numbers we're talking about, you do still have property transfer tax on top of this, which a lot of people are surprised, first-time buyers that we talk to. Property transfer tax is a cash tax that you need to pay on top of the purchase price, 1% on the first 200,000, 2% on the balance. So you're not at an exemption level at 600 to 650, so you will pay that. So that is on top of what we're discussing right now, just a little 2 cents.
So there's all these extras as well that start taking effect. But one of the examples that we've got is, so we'll take the building 618 Abbott Street in Vancouver. Building J?
The Ferens.
Ferens, one of three
One of our
towers.
favorites.
So we're not actually allowed to tell you the unit. Kind of got a slap on the wrist for that before.
We will say a little 2 cents about the unit. As you just said, 3 towers in the heart of Crosstown, Vancouver, with Crosstown Elementary School and daycares attached to it. One of the few buildings left that does allow
Airbnb.
Yes, which a lot of people are still hunting for. Great building, full amenities, lots of variety of size units. Sorry, continue.
Yes, so there's 2 units there. These 2 units are actually right next to each other.
The comparable units we're
The
saying.
comparables we're talking about are right next to each
Same
other.
floor.
Same floor. No difference in terms of views. One has an additional parking space or anything like that. They're practically identical, minus like 10 square feet.
Yep.
So the first unit sells September last year.
So
Sells
right
for
when things just started.
sells for 545,000.
How big?
It's 589 square feet.
Okay.
1 bedroom, 1 bathroom.
Yep.
Parking space, no locker. The unit next to it is just recently sold, just prior to Christmas actually. And again, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom right next to it. This one is actually about 10 square feet bigger, but it's sold for 590,000. So that's a $45,000 increase. And don't forget, when the new property sells at that higher price point, that's setting a new benchmark as well. So a property that you could essentially afford back in September under 550,000 is now pushing on $600,000
In December.
In
now
December.
we're end of January.
And to add insult to injury, there's one which is recently just sold. Again, this one's actually, the one that recently just sold is about 20, 30 square feet bigger. But that just sold for $665,000.
So why is that such a big jump?
The market's increased because both of those 2 sales, they were both gone in a week. One was on the market for 1 day, the other one was on the market for 4 days.
So again, we've said this a million times, if you price sharply in any market, you will sell quickly. That's clearly what they've done. And then this other one has come in and capitalized on that new benchmark. They've tried. There's obviously pent-up demand. We've seen that, though, as well in buildings that do allow Airbnb. It's kind of like, in my opinion, a unit with a view or a patio. If there's a view buyer that needs a house with a view, he doesn't care about anything without a view. If you need a huge patio, you don't care about anything without a huge patio. If you're looking for something with Airbnb, you'll pay a premium to get into a building with Airbnb. So we were not a part of that specific deal, but my guess is that's what pushed them to go there. Wild guess, I have no idea, but I'm guessing that had something to do with it because that's a unique factor that building offers.
And the principle still remains. If you were looking around August, September last year and one sold, and you're looking at around, you're budgeting for yourself, okay, I can get like a 1 bedroom around here for around 550,000, and you waited, something came on, then it sold for 590,000, you'd be shocked.
Of course.
It's quite a bit more. And then now you're looking at that again, waiting for the next one, and it sold for 665,000. So it's jumped up tremendously, to use one of Trump's favorite words, in the last period. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong. There are homes which you can still afford if your budget is, say, around that $600,000 mark. But imagine you were, before the prices started slowly incrementally going up, you were looking at post-2000s, concrete buildings, full amenities, parking, storage, central location, and now you have to look at a much older building, maybe less work done, maybe it's not concrete, maybe you don't have in-suite laundry, maybe you don't have any amenities. You know, you can still buy that, but how does that affect your quality of life, and how does that change on a day-to-day basis, especially if you don't have a parking space or in-suite laundry?
Yeah, so these small incremental changes in the general market pricing, once you magnify down to a specific building, with the examples that Ben's just gone through, you can see it can become very drastic. So if you are a first-time buyer at this point, very seldom do you have time on your side in this area of the market.
Yeah.
And that's a perfect example of that. Unfortunately, that's where things are now. And again, if we have that crystal ball, that's fine. But things are moving. You can hear activities picked up in the market in general. Price increases are minimal, so it's still watching, it's still waiting, could be okay, but when you really hammer down with whoever agent you're working with, focusing on an actual neighborhood or an actual building, you're really going to see that it may not just be that 0.7, that 0.8.
It's common to see it.
This turns into something bigger,
a lot higher.
Faster.
So that's it. That's all we have time for this week, guys. And as per the giveaway last week, Android Master, you are the winner. Please do send us a message either at ben@mckinnesmarketing.com or j@mckinnesmarketing.com, and we will arrange on those AirPods. You can stop that because we're running out of time. So thank you for following and thank you for watching, and we will see you next week.